Well, Microsoft is really excited to be here this year. We have a bunch of interesting things to share with all of you, so we're really just going to launch right into it. And I think the thing we really want to have you take away from this year is that you would be able to say, hey, Terraform on Azure, this is easier than ever. We know that a lot of you are coming from all sorts of backgrounds, but whether you're on day 0 or you're on day 2, we want that experience for you to be as seamless, as loose and easy as possible. And we really think that AI and some of the other investments that we've made in this past year will really help in that journey. So without further ado, my name is Steven. I work on the Azure Terraform providers, everything related to that experience orthogonally, and I'm joined today by Jingwei. Jingwei, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Steven. Hey, everybody. My name is Jingwei Wang. I'm a technical program manager within the deployment team at Microsoft. Happy to see you all. It's actually my first time to join the HashiCorp session. Thank you very much.
Exciting times. All right, we're going to launch right into it. Here's what we're going to cover today. So we'll start with some of the Copilot stuff that I'm sure all of you are excited about. Then we'll talk about our new VS Code extension. And then we'll talk about a new provider. We have an MS Graph provider now. So we'll cover a little bit of what that does. So just to help set the stage, imagine, and you might not have to imagine very hard, that you're an infra dev. And your goal is to take some stuff that's existing and you want to bring it into a new environment. You might not have spun up the container app and the container registry before, but you're pretty familiar with the IP, the PostgreSQL, the networking stuff, and you just want to get that all linked up. And that's what we're headed towards. That's a story we're going to try to tell through these demos. So without further ado, oh yeah, one more thing is we also have app teams. We want to make sure that all of the different roles that are involved in that process get correctly handed over. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Jingwei, and she's going to talk about Copilot.
Thank you, Steven. So before I dive into the session about the Terraform Copilot handler demo session, I would like to give you all a quick heads up about the key improvements we have made in the past year with regard to our Terraform Copilot handler. So first of all, we have been switching to the GPT 5 mini model. It is a better model because it has leads to fewer hallucination problems and can therefore generate better response with better quality. For the second, we have officially released our support for the AZ API provider, in addition to our continuous and current support for the Azure provider. So as an end user, you essentially just need to include the keyword AZ API within your prompts, and our Copilot will generate the responses for you accordingly. For the third one, we have officially supported the full-screen experience editor within the Azure portal. This is originally a call from many of the customers that all of the code generation within the Azure portal are all crammed into the corner. So the visualization impact is not that good. To help resolve this concern, we have enabled the users to directly open in VS Code full-screen experiences so that they can see their code block within a better visualization. And I will give it more detailed introduction later in my demo session. For the final one, last but not the least, we have continuously investing our efforts to enhance the quality of our Copilot handler. For instance, we have been adding the Terraform validation logic loop to resolve any errors with the help of the large language model. And before your prompts actually reach out to our GPT model, we will first try to rewrite them to enhance the relevance and the correctness of the RAG here. But I also want to highlight that you don't use our Copilot to try to generate the code for your existing infrastructure. It actually doesn't work. But later on in the session, Steven will provide you with an alternative solution that can help you with this scenario. Okay, so let's now get down to the demo session. And I want to set up the stage first to give you a heads up. Let's say that I am now a technical engineer, and I want to get started with a project from scratch. It's a greenhand project. I want to deploy the container-based applications and the container registries within a completely new environment. How can I get started? In this scenario, Copilot could be of great help. So you can see now I have entered the Azure portal and I have logged into my Microsoft account. I will trick the Copilot and try to put my prompts, how to create a container app and the container registry. These are exactly the two Azure resources I want to create within this new environment using the Azure Terraform RM provider. So let me try to enter the prompt, and you can see now the Copilot is trying to generate the responses for you. It will take a few seconds to complete. Actually, behind the scene, we will try to understand the context of your prompts and try to route to the most appropriate handler before finally generating the responses for you. So here we go. We get our HashiCorp configuration language code block here, and we can continue with the open info view. This is exactly the function I have mentioned to you earlier about the full screen experience editor. And you can see your code block is here with this full screen visualization. And within this blade, we have offered you with several options to continue. You can download it to your local environment, or you can copy the content and paste it elsewhere you feel more happy with. But this option seems not that ideal for you. So now we have officially released the support for the open in VS Code so that you can complete your full deployment using Terraform within the web browser. So let's click on this button, and you can see now we are trying to initialize this web VS Code environment for you. It will generally take up to 40 seconds to complete this full process. Behind the scene, we are trying to pre-install all the useful VS Code extensions for you, and also activate the HashiCorp MCP server by wrapping with the activation of this VS Code extension. And we will also try to keep your Azure login status as you were in the Azure portal. So now we have successfully initialized this environment, and you can see your code block is here within this man.tf file. Besides that, we also provide you useful walkthrough guidance to help you easily get started with the real Terraform deployment. So today, I'm going to leverage this opportunity to walk you through all of the steps altogether. So before we get started, we have offered you two prerequisite best practices as the recommendation. First is optional. If you want to use the HashiCorp Cloud Platform as the deployment, you should better get your HashiCorp Cloud Platform organization ready for use. The second is also optional. If you want to enjoy the benefits of the version control system, you get your GitHub account ready for use as well. So for today's demo, I have fulfilled those two prerequisites. So I will just continue with the next step to connect my existing working project to the GitHub. So let's click on this one. And now let's say that I don't have a GitHub repo right now, so I can simply click on the source control button to continue. And you can see there is a menu open on your left-hand side. Let's follow those clickable operations and put my sample prompts to actually commit that. And then also put a sample prompt to publish that to the GitHub branch. I'm going to choose my private repo here. Yeah, so you can see now I have successfully published my working project to the GitHub repo. It looks good to me. So I will continue with the next step to continue editing my code. Since all of the code, as I mentioned, is fully generated by AI, so I would strongly recommend that you continue iterating and editing your code. In this scenario, the GitHub Copilot for Azure could be of great help. You can simply click on that and add Azure, and then followed by your follow-up questions to continue editing your code. So let's say that you now complete the addition of your code and you are ready for the real deployment. For this step, we have offered you several options to continue, and today I'm going to use the HCP as the remote backend as an example. So let's click on that button to see what's going next. So for this option, we have offered you 6 steps to follow. First is to log into my HCP account. For me, I have already logged in, and you can see here are all my available workspaces within this HCP account. So I will just continue with the Terraform login here. So let's click on that. And then you can see the prompt just showed up here, which is quite convenient. So let's follow the steps to type in yes and then my tokens. And we can see the HashiCorp Terraform has already been successfully logged in. So I will continue with the next step to leverage the capabilities of this HashiCorp MCP to help me add those configurations to my main.tf file. So let's trigger the Copilot again and try to put my prompts to add those configurations with the workspace name and the organization name. And you can see Copilot is trying to generate the responses right now. And then we can check what's happening within my main.tf file. Yeah, the code block has been generated with the organization and workspace name here. It actually looks very good to me, so I will continue with keeping that. It's quite convenient. Okay, it's right here, has been added to my main.tf file. I will close down the Copilot chat box and continue with my walkthrough guidance here. So the next step would be the Terraform initiate. I will just click on that, and we can see the Terraform HCP has been successfully initialized. And then we can run the Terraform plan to see the changes to be made. Yeah, we can see that there are 5 resources to be added, 0 to be changed, 0 to be destroyed, all related to the container app and the container registry added resources. If we feel good about those changes to be made, we can simply continue with the real Terraform apply to realize those implementation. So you can see now I run the Terraform apply and try to implement those changes. It actually takes several minutes to complete, and I speed up this a little bit. So let's see what's happening here. Yeah, you can see it has been successfully implemented, and we are able to see the final result either within the HashiCorp Terraform workspace, or you can see directly from the Azure portal that your resources has been successfully created. Yeah, so that's all for my demo session.
I have a question, Jingwei.
Oh, go ahead, Steven.
Yes, if I'm in VS Code Web and I want to keep working on things from there, what can I do to keep working on the stuff after being in the VS Code Web?
Oh, that's a very good question, Steven. Actually, within the Blade, we have offered you with the option to open the VS Code desktop. After you click on that button, since you have already connected your working project to the GitHub repo, it will allow you to clone that repo to your local environment. So you're allowed to continue iterating and editing your code and push those changes to the remote if necessary, so that you won't be restricted by the 4 hours limitation of this temporary workspace environment. Okay, so to summarize a bit, the Terraform deployment has been much easier than ever with our new release functionalities. You can see before, when you get the code, we need to think about, oh, what can I do with the code? What will be my next step? But now you can simply complete your full deployment within the web browser. And for those of you who might get a little bit frustrated with the Terraform environment initialization process, we also take the majority of the burden from your side. You don't even need to worry about that. So it's a very easy user experience for you. But definitely, we will not just stop here. We will continue improving our current web VS Code browser experiences. For instance, in the future, we will allow more options for you to complete the deployment and also have better integration of the ADO pipeline. In addition to what we are going to improve with regard to the web VS Code browser, we will also expect more comprehensive AI capabilities to come. In terms of the quality and accuracy, we will be adopt the latest large language model, have the improved RAG, and also a better enhance the Terraform validation logic loop here. We will also try to expand our current support scope to include the Azure verified modules, and also expect more capabilities within our own Microsoft MCP server to help you with the Azure policy check, security check, and also AZ API document retrieval, etc. Besides, we will also let our model to better understand your existing infrastructure and existing code, therefore generate more customized responses for you. In the end, we will also provide you with a better authoring experiences within the Azure portal, like the addition of the draft with Copilot function and the separation of different Terraform files that will more align with your expectations. Okay, so that is all for the Copilot session, and I will hand it over to Steven to talk you more about the amazing VS Code extension.
Thank you, Jingwei. Isn't that neat? Being able to just start in the portal and all of a sudden be able to get all the way into VS Code. Speaking of VS Code, we have a new extension. How many of you have used the AZPI VS Code extension by a show of hands? Looks like a few hands. If you've used it, there are some really cool things that we had in that extension. For example, in case you didn't know, you were able to copy some resource JSON or ARM templates from within the portal, and you pasted it, and it just, like magic, became AZPI. So you got Terraform code, copy and paste just like that. We saw a lot of the good energy being brought around that extension, and we decided to, with the release of the MS Graph provider, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes, just consolidate everything into one extension, because we don't need 50 extensions. So what we have essentially consolidated is the IntelliSense, the code samples, and some of the other functionality, which I'll demo in a second here. So anything that you had in the old AZPI VS Code extension, the old Azure Terraform extension, those are all being brought into this new extension alongside some of the new features and capabilities for MS Graph. The two main things I want to call out with this new extension is, number one, the fact that we can now export Terraform. In case you weren't aware, if you go to portal.azure.com, there is an experience right now underneath automation that allows you to hit export, template, and that used to do just ARM templates, but now it does Bicep and Terraform as well. Highly recommend you try it out. And if you have the extension, the VS Code extension, now you can actually go ahead and do so within VS Code. I'll show a demo in a second. Last thing here, I will also do a demo of is policy and pre-flight. So if you have anything that you're authoring in Terraform, and you want to make sure that thing doesn't get denied by policy once you actually try to apply it, we now support that. And I'll show off that in the demo in a second. So I'll just set the stage again. For the sake of our export, as Jingwei mentioned before, Copilot is more so for the new environment, but now we have the existing environment that we're now trying to bring over into this new environment. So what we'll do is we'll use export to basically help us spin up all the Terraform configuration, and we'll from there massage the code and get our way over to having this new setup. So here we are over in VS Code. We just open the Command Shift palette, and we run this new Microsoft Azure export for Terraform, select our subscription, and then we can actually pick a resource group. Here, I know which resource group I want, Cascade Cloud. I'm going to select that. I take a look. Yep, that's everything I want. So I'm going to click Export All Resources and then select the Azure provider. That's going to spin for a bit, and very similar to the portal experience, once it takes those few seconds, it'll spit out a ton of code. We do that on purpose. It's not actually going to be code that you can immediately apply and it will be perfect. It's actually trying to expose all the properties that are configurable within those resources, and that's on purpose to help you be able to set up for success as you begin to change the code. We'd rather give you more information than you need than be missing any properties that you might actually need. You might have noticed the commented import blocks at the very top. That's another way to help you with this whole process. If you wanted to then import the resource configuration, all you need to do is uncomment the import blocks, and you're straight set to go. The next demo I have here is for the new pre-flight capabilities. This one is just for the sake of simplicity. We're going to do a storage account. This storage account is conspicuously named storage account. Surely nobody has named their storage account, right? So we'll go ahead and run a pre-flight check on it. We want to make sure that there's no policies, there's no problems that's going to run into. Luckily, because of pre-flight, before I actually go and try to do a Terraform apply, it'll run the Terraform plan for me, and before I even try to actually do an apply, it'll just tell me, hey buddy, this storage account name, it's a little generic. You might need to come up with something a bit more specific or unique. So it'll spin for a second, and this is going to help you, especially with policy. It'll check if your SKUs are valid, all of those things. So especially in situations where you have like 50 resources all sitting together, you don't want it to fail on 48. You can see right there, there's a pre-flight summary, the validation check failed, storage account name is already taken. Saves us some time, and both of these features we think are going to help you get unblocked and get moving quicker. that's it for the VS Code extension. Moving straight along to the MS Graph provider. So we have been looking into how we can unblock a lot of you who are asking for the latest features like PIM groups in Azure AD. And what we devised was a provider that provides day zero support for all Graph APIs. Now, what is a Graph API, Steven? That's a great question. The things that are covered there are not just Entra/Azure AD, but also M365, SharePoint sites, Outlook notifications. All of those settings can also now be configured through this new MS Graph provider. And it's a little bit like AZ API in that regard, in that everything is supported in day zero right out of the box, as long as it's CRUD capable.
Oh, I have a quick question, Steven.
Go ahead, Jingwei.
Oh, so what will be the differences between the Azure AD and the MS Graph provider? Will the Azure AD just go from here now?
No, we're not planning to get rid of the Azure AD provider. Great question. As you could probably guess, MS Graph is going to be a bit to Azure AD as AZ API is to Azure RM. So whenever you need to get that day zero support, you want that day zero experience, you want it, and you don't mind the lower level authoring experience, we recommend that you use MS Graph. And same thing for AZ API to Azure RM, right? That doesn't mean that we're just having it be a gap filler. We fully understand and are intending to make MS Graph a great standalone provider in its own right. But then Azure AD is always there when you want the abstraction layer, when you want the simplicity and the stability. So just to wrap things up, I want to show off something that we just released last week for 0.2, which is involving some Entra functionality. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to try to use the MS Graph update resource to implement FFIC. The federated identity credential here, we don't actually support in Azure AD today the flexible version of it. So this little MS Graph update resource is going to help us with that. If you're not familiar with what an update resource does, it'll take an existing resource and it will modify the properties of that resource. Now, something I did not include here that you should definitely do is that subject over there underneath Azure AD application federated identity credential. You need to make sure that there's a lifecycle ignore changes on that subject, because we're setting it to null. That's how the API's guidance is around using that. So don't be like me. Make sure you set that lifecycle ignore changes on. But you can see that something that you can't do today in the Azure AD provider, you can immediately do within seconds, as long as you utilize the new MS Graph provider. There are other things that we're making sure we have a clear story on. JIT and MFA are top of mind for us. And there's a lot of other features that we're taking in. So please give your feedback as we're in this public preview phase. And as we continue to barrel towards GA, we want to make sure that this really works for you and for all your different scenarios. So without further ado, I'll let Jingwei close this out.
Thank you, Steven. So to summarize a bit, Terraform Azure deployment has been much easier than ever with the power of AI and many more functions and features that have been released and to be released. During this HashiCorp event, Steven and many folks and I will all be at the Microsoft Azure booth. So feel free to reach out to us if you have anything that you want to discuss with us. We are more than happy to have the in-depth talking with you. And if you are willing to join us for a one-on-one extended conversation session specifically with our Terraform product group, you can also scan this QR code on the right top side to sign up for this one-on-one extended conversation session. It's right over here. Yeah, and if you want to get everything related about Terraform, like the updates, the technologies behind, you are welcome to join our warm community by scanning this QR code on the right bottom side, or you can simply click on this URL link to join our community. And if you feel specifically interested within the Terraform Copilot handler, you can leverage this information page for your references. So I will pause here a bit for people to maybe take a picture. Yeah, so that's all for today's session, and really appreciate that you joined this session. Hope you enjoy your day and also everything. Thank you. See you next year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And we'll hang out in the front for questions if you have any. So make sure to talk to us.